All right, everyone. Joe Biden has launched his Hispanic outreach, I would say Hispanic pandering program, Todos Con Biden. But unfortunately, because he and his campaign are not that great at strategy when it comes to the technological world, Trump's people were all over it, quickly realized that neither the Twitter handle nor the website todosconbiden.com had actually been taken, so they took them. And now if you look, you'll see some satirical shit there. Link in the description, archived of course, but there is a second link there to the actual website. This has happened once before. This happened before Joe Biden got into the race at all with, what was it, joebiden.net or something. Somebody sent me the link. And it was hilarious because it was all basically a running joke about his creepy weirdness with females and how he does like sniffy thing and squishy thing to people who he doesn't know. And there were pictures of it, and it was like, Joe Biden wants to reach out and touch your children deep in their hearts, and like really, sort of obvious antagonistic language. It's so easy to do this with some of the neo-libs. Whenever this can be done, by the way, to a campaign, you know that they're living in the past. Like the newcomers, like the AOC crowd or a Booty Judge or something, the newer, more hip politicians, they know better than to allow this to happen. Certainly Trump obviously understands this. He probably capitalizes upon this on a personal level. He's probably got several people whose jobs it is just to Google the stuff other candidates say in order to do things like this because it's so effective. Here, they've registered a website. It's not like, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. And they get a Twitter handle, which is free. And now they control Joe Biden essentially at almost no cost whatsoever, using a website directly linked to something that he himself wanted to capitalize on. It's hilarious. This is exactly how modern politics have become. Everything is instantaneous now because of the internet, so it requires quicker thinking. If anything, I would think that the internet era is going to create quicker thinking politicians, which is great if they're honest and well, I can't say that with a fully straight face. On the honest end, as far as foreign policy goes, it's terrible, of course, if they're totally tyrannical. With Donald Trump, half the population thinks either of these things. I just think that it's masterful whenever things like this happen because, this is a big thing for Biden. If you're going to run in the Democratic Party, you need a lot of Hispanic outreach because, they've basically forsaken the Rust Belt and all of the middle-class white voters there. They've made it clear they want to pander and use race and ethnicity as wedge issues. They want to divide people up to get 51% of the vote. That's what being a Democrat has devolved into these days. So you have to pander. You have to do what like Joe Biden and some of these others were doing at the town hall over police or police safety or some shit. And Joe Biden was like, apparently somebody asked him, a young black female was like, well, what should I do next time I get pulled over as a young black female? And he's like, well, if I was your daughter. Well, if you were my daughter, you'd be Caucasian, so you wouldn't get pulled over. So no white person ever gets pulled over, ever gets profiled, ever has any problems whatsoever. It is only aimed at non-whites. Whites are incapable of suffering. Just like when Bernie Sanders talks about how white people can't know what it's like to be, what did he say in the last campaign? Fucking truly poor or something like that. Okay, Bernie, you go to the back streets of Vermont as opposed to Main Street, Vermont, and you tell me what you see in some of these poorly heated fucking practically dirt-floored Appalachia. Yeah, there's no poverty there because they're white. You go to Arkansas or you go to Alabama or something. No, whites don't live in poverty. Sanders is a fruitcake, doesn't know what he's talking about. But he's never had to worry because he's never been one missed paycheck away from insolvency because he's never really gotten a paycheck in the first place, so he doesn't have that problem. Bernie Sanders was like, well, I would recommend that you cooperate with the police so you don't get shot in the back of the head. Yes, because every police officer that stops a young black individual is racially profiling for the purposes of hopefully killing somebody. That's just, it makes their day to do this. That particular stereotypical trope pandered off by the left does take place in a very rare number of instances, usually with inner city forces, run largely by Democrats. Hate to point that out, but politically there's a little bit of a connection there. The race of the cop probably correlates less than the political affiliation of the fucking police commissioner in that point. It's funny to see all the pandering going on. So it's good. It's good that Joe Biden gets lampooned and satirized. I wish that Trump would do this more often to some of these morons. It's like with Trump. At the very least, when he panders, he's doing it in an amusing way. And he's doing it in such an obtuse way that anyone who doesn't have shit for brains knows he's doing it. but there are people out there who legitimately believe Elizabeth Warren is an honest, lifelong, charitable, activistic individual. Well, Trump doesn't even pretend to. He's a cutthroat. He loves telling you how rich he is. He's being totally honest. He's not lying to you. Trump tells the truth a lot more often than these other people. Laugh all you want, by the way, Democrats, when I say that. But when he lies big and he lies obviously. The more obvious the lie, the more people who support him don't care at this point. No, I don't even have to believe it. Half of what Trump says is crazy. And doesn't matter, though. If you really weed through it, you can sort of find the truth of what's being said, and you can at least remark upon the strategy behind it. With Joe Biden, there's no strategy. Bill Maher coming out the other day, and he was rambling practically red-faced for 7 minutes about the Democrats. Fucking half his show was about how they sucked. I'm going to have to make a separate video just for that. So many mistakes being made. Oh my God, this police forum bullshit is going to bite him in the ass. Joe Biden's gone completely crazy. Now he's freeing up for super PACs. I guess his campaign had said, please don't do super PAC stuff for us. Trying to look like he wasn't a corporate campaigner. Now it's come out, oh yeah, but give me fucking money. I need more because I got to compete with Elizabeth Warren. See, Elizabeth Warren's conned enough people into giving her grassroots donations that she's almost passable as a grassroots candidate now, despite the fact that she basically just stole and watered down Bernie Sanders' platform. Really, really remarkable how good a campaigner she is, at least within the party. As far as her ability to move back to the center for the general, if she's nominated, I think it's negligible at best, and she can be swept aside by Trump without too much trouble. I don't take her seriously or any of these people. Joe Biden couldn't even tell his staff, like the night before, hey, register this website, because Todos Con Biden's going to be our Hispanic outreach. Kind of important. You know, when we go to campaign in half the fucking states anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, going to be the main voting bloc that we're working with here as Democrats in the Democratic primaries. Now, don't worry about it. We'll get to it later. What's the dude thinking? He's supposed to be running his campaign. I am increasingly thinking that he's not really campaigning at all. Other people have put him up as a front for money-making or to get, I don't know, enough delegates to be able to negotiate something with superdelegates at the actual convention, but that Biden himself doesn't give a fuck. He's not really even campaigning. He's basically just getting paid by corporations to make speeches at this point and pretend that he's in the running. I haven't met any enthusiastic Biden supporter. Please, can somebody comment? You're a Joe Biden supporter and you're legitimately enthusiastic. Can you tell me you exist and why? Because I have never met one. Supposedly he's the front runner. I've met plenty of Elizabeth Warren fans. Oh, they're fired up about a woman who's lying to them all day long, but they're fired up at least. Plenty of Bernie bots. Plenty of Buttigieg fans. I've met some of them, and some of them are kind of weird because they can't figure out whether they like him because he's gay or because he believes in Jesus Christ. Very interesting. And many Kamala fans, shrinking number, but they're there. Lots of Trump fans. Some never-Trumpers, fans of the Jeff Flake and Mitt Romney sort of crowd. But I've never met a Joe Biden fan. Where are they? So we're running at 25, 30%. Please tell me that you actually exist and this isn't some schizophrenic delusion that all of the pundits are having. That's about all. Peace out.